I think that one thing that's on our mind, Mosab, when we hear you speak, because you really speak with our voice too. Trust me, many of us sitting here could say exactly what you're saying, except we haven't lived it like you've lived it. What was the exact moment that made you change? What was that moment? What was the thing that got you to say, I have to switch sides. I can't do this anymore?
Look, if I tell you that there was an exact moment where I saw the light, I lied to you. And many people use this tactic to show the world that they became just better people. I don't think so. As I told you, this is an evolution. The chain of events that brought me here is a very long. It's full of adventure. It's full of taking risk. In order to know the truth, we must take risk, get out of our comfort, be able to see the other as ourselves, identify on a human level, integrate consciously. But if I look at the most important, let's say, moments where I raised the question, my experience in prison was an important one. When Hamas tortured Palestinians in Israeli prisons, as a result, hundreds of prisoners were killed and tortured, as I witnessed, for about 16 months back in 1996. And I asked myself the question, even though Hamas brought me the comfort, the security, the status, the prestige, the power, I saw that it was danger against humanity, against our society. And I asked myself, what if Hamas succeed in destroying Israel and building their state? Is this what they're going to do to our people? Well, this is a mini Hamas government in prison. They had ministers, they had Amir, they had everything. And this is how
inside the Israeli jail.
In jail. So this was the question, and this was the beginning of my rebellion against my father's organization. He knew that. It's not that it was a secret. But it looked like he couldn't do anything about it. It's a monster that he created in theory. Then the monster kept growing on him to a degree where he lost control of it. And that's the difference between imagination and manifestation. Back in 1987, they were chanting in Ramallah, from the river to the sea. And they started the intifada. They invited so many demons into this intifada, opposing extremes, the communists and the Islamists and the nationalists, all type of people, and the rapist and the pedophile. They invited everybody with no moral compass, with no agendas, except revolution for the sake of revolution, for destruction. And what happened 36 years later? It was crowned with a genocide. So, in theory, it may sound romantic, from the river to the sea. But then, nobody's in charge, and it goes out of control. And this is why I'm telling America and Americans, be careful. And this is part of my firm stand, that I'm not willing to compromise. It's not the time right now to play a mind game, not with me, because I have witnessed what intifada really means. And they targeted back in Ramallah and the Palestinian territories, they targeted educational institutions at the beginning, then they targeted economy, transportation, and this is how things went out of control. Prior to the first intifada, I was able to go with my father to the beach, to Tel Aviv, to the zoo, to Yafo. We did not have even one checkpoint. And when we got lost in Tel Aviv, the local residents of Tel Aviv helped us navigate our way. We drove our own car, and everything was peaceful. When the first intifada came, this is when things start changing. especially when we had mass stabbing and mass shooting, then the suicide bombing, then the Oslo brought Yasser Arafat, and legitimized, terrorism became legitimized. So what are we witnessing here in the United States? They're targeting educational institutions, they're closing bridges, tomorrow they will target the economy, and they will have any reason for them to they just want to create chaos. So this is where we cannot compromise, and we have to stand firm. Otherwise, they are going to ruin civilization. This is what Palestine stands for. So for me, it's, as you see, the traumas of the past and the eyewitness within. It's not only a personal experience as much as what this force is capable of doing. If we let them do whatever they want to do, they will corrupt Earth.
You know, you mentioned the genocide word, and I want to push you a little bit on that. You had an interview with Dr. Phil a little bit after October 7th, when you said that Hamas really wanted to do ethnic cleansing, right? And that's part of what they were doing on October 7th, and that's sort of a way in which they worship Allah. What do you mean by that? Because a lot of American Jews still do not believe that Islam is by nature a violent religion.
It's not even a religion. Why would I consider it a religion? Then it's the only religion that there is a desperate need. There is a desperate need to say Islam, the religion of peace. The only religion. The Quran is filled with Jewish hatred. And of course, I understand why the Jewish people avoid to open a large-scale confrontation with a religious minority worldwide, close to 2 billion people. It's a destructive force. And this is why even America is compromising. The American government is compromising. All the major forces, superpowers. And the thing is, with the Islam, how long we're going to go ignoring this reality, the Islamic hatred? Then I say simply, if Allah hates the Jewish people in the Quran, and that's the main Islamic source, the source of legislation, it's supposed to be the divine words. So why am I expecting from the followers of that faith, of that religion, to love the Jewish people? So I'm not saying to go on a war with the Muslims. I personally am at war with them because I'm one of them. And I have the right to criticize and to say whatever I want to say. And I don't need the permission. I don't wait for anybody to give me validation to what I say. But for you guys, you don't have to do the same. But at least you need to admit that what happened on October 7th is inspired by some religious scripture. Okay. In the Bible, there could be some violence. There could be the death penalty, but it's the death penalty. It's not asking for a genocide specifically against a religion. You will not find in the Bible that say, kill the Muslims. But Muhammad demonstrated that when he annihilated the Jewish communities of the Arab Peninsula because they did not recognize him as a legitimate prophet. So now, whether if this narrative is true or not, or the historic account is accurate or not, this is what Muslims believe. It's based on two main narratives, Ibn Ishaq and Ibn Hisham. And the two narratives describe in detail what Muhammad did to the Jewish communities of the Arab Peninsula. I personally think that they are not true, but Muslims take them literally. And Muhammad's action, Muhammad's sayings, Muhammad's deeds are considered legislation in Islam. Second in importance or significance to the Quran. So if we are dealing with this, it means legislation. Hamas is not acting from void. And they have actually an accurate interpretation of their religion, of what they are doing. So for the Jewish people, we need to bring this awareness to the rest of other religions that include Hinduism, and this is what I've been doing with my friends close to Modi And you may have noticed that he was speaking clearly against Islam, because Hindus suffered a lot because of the Muslims and the Muslim violence. Not only the Jewish people, but Hindus, and India is about a little bit over 1 billion people. And I think this is where we need to join efforts, not to persecute Muslims or attack the Muslims, as much as we need to tell the Muslims as a majority that we don't accept your violent approach. Reform your religion or drop it completely. If you want to stay Muslims, no problem, but keep it in the 7th century. Don't bring it to the 21st century. There is no place for abusing religious minorities. So if Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism get united, not to attack the Muslims, but to stand firmly and say the violence in the Quran, the Muslims need to figure it out. And any form of it, anywhere, not only in Israel, in Indonesia, in the United States, in Europe, wherever it is totally rejected. If we have this firm, then we can push the Islamic regimes to do some change.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is Djabnik signing off.